The crossover is off and running. The segment that people love, where Open Mic meets In the Zone, and In the Zone in return meets Open Mic. What's up, Bulldog?
What is up? College football season is up. Fantasy football draft is up.
I'm done, by the way. I have this is an unofficial first question, but do you get the post draft blues? Because I have a little bit of that. That window of time where you're done with all of your drafts, but the NFL season hasn't quite started yet, so you can't actually watch the fantasy points pile up. There's like that 1 week window where college football definitely helps, but just in the NFL part of my brain,
Well, one
end up a
one
little
league,
depressed.
I get that because the one league doesn't allow any waiver wire pickups.
Are
Or
you
doesn't.
still in this league?
I'm still in that league.
Oh,
Yeah,
Mike.
the annoying league. Yes, I'm in that league. So yeah, let me start it because I do have a fantasy football question I wanted to ask you. All right.
All right.
And we asked our listeners on our show this earlier in the week, and I tried to like spice it up from the normal. Would you rather win your fantasy football league championship or have the team that you love win the Super Bowl? So I spiced it up and I said, would you rather win your fantasy football league championship with a $5,000 first prize or have your real team win the Super Bowl? I'm going to ask you, Kravitz, your Dolphins win the Super Bowl, you win your fantasy league and pocket $5,000. What do you pick? What are you picking?
This is not an easy answer for me. Okay. You have to understand a little bit of the backstory of a Dolphins fan that didn't start cheering for the team until about 1998. I have not seen my team win more than one playoff game since I've been a fan.
Okay.
So to see them not only win a playoff game, but win enough playoff games to get to the Super Bowl, Mike, I can't even fathom how exciting that would be. And then to see them hoist the Lombardi trophy. And along the way, I'm a sports bettor too. So I'm going to be cashing these tickets on my way to them winning the Super Bowl, betting on my team and doubling down on happiness.
Okay.
So I would be making money on this. Now, would I be making $5,000? No. So the answer is fantasy football, but not easy. It wasn't an easy answer to get there.
I thought you were setting me up to say you were going to go to the Dolphins. No?
I've gone my whole life watching them lose. Just let me take care of my own happiness. And I get $5,000. I honestly would probably answer that if you lowered the total. So 5,000 made it pretty easy. I just had to kind of walk myself through it. All right, let me throw a college football question at you. Okay. Has FSU become overly reliant on the transfer portal? We saw 17 transfers come in. There was no chemistry in that game on Saturday. Among the highest in terms of, if you looked at the power brands in college football. So I'm not talking about the UCFs and the TCUs of the world, but the top dogs in college football. And I think FSU is definitely in that class. That 17 was the highest number. 10 of those were 4-star guys. So those are players that you're not just bringing in for depth. Those are instant starters, easily clearing the mark for the power brands in college football in terms of impact players brought into your roster that you're trying to fit in. If FSU struggles and a team like Clemson that's going in the other direction is successful, could we see a shift in momentum for the portal and the frequency in which it's used?
I don't know. I don't know about that. When you look at some of the other teams, I mean, look at UCF. They brought in like 40 new players this year. But when you're talking about the top of college football, I think this year is sort of an aberration for Florida State because let's face it, they did lose 10 players to the NFL draft. That's a lot, even if you're Georgia or Alabama, to lose 10 players to the NFL draft. Many of those were starters. So I think Mike Norvell felt the need that he needed to go get some plug-and-play starters. If you look at what Mike Norvell is doing in high school recruiting, it's gotten incrementally better every year. You look at his class, the commitments he has for this upcoming class, a pretty highly ranked class. So I don't think Florida State's overly reliant on the portal. I just think this year was more of an aberration because of all the players that they lost.
Okay. Well, Georgia had like 10 players taken in the NFL draft, so I don't think they're a good example for this, but we'll leave Georgia out of it. They're the new Alabama.
Exactly.
What else you got?
Speaking of college football, obviously Florida, Miami play Saturday. There's a question, who needs this win more, Billy Napier or Mario Cristobal? I don't think there's any question it's Billy Napier. I don't think you would disagree with me on that. But here,
well, I don't know. I think I would, but I'll let you finish your question because my next
question was
going to
be
in line with this.
When you look at Florida's schedule this year, toughest schedule in college football, might be the toughest schedule in college football history. When you look at the end of the season, those last 6 games, I mean, there's a lot of losses there. Is Saturday a must-win game for Billy Napier?
No, I would actually say it's not a must-win game for either coach. I think Mario Cristobal can withstand a loss because his goal is to win the ACC, and an ACC win gets you into the college football playoff. Losing at the Swamp won't feel good, but it also doesn't lessen your chances of ultimately achieving the goal that's set in front of you. So for Mario Cristobal, confidence-wise, yes, but you can't call a must-win if all you need is a confidence boost. So no on Mario. And then for Billy, yeah, that schedule is very difficult, but if you lose to Miami and then find a way to trip up one of the other highly ranked teams that's on your schedule, then it makes up for that loss. That's one of the things that I'm just not hearing a lot of people discuss when talking about Florida's schedule, is that the other teams that are looking at their individual schedules, when they see Florida coming up in a couple of weeks, that's a difficult game for them too. Florida is a good college football team. Now, they have a gauntlet that they have to face, but Florida is part of other teams' gauntlets. I think they're going to trip other teams up. And what will that look like when they're able to do that? So,
wow, you think Florida is a good college football team? You just said so. You're on the Billy Napier bandwagon.
I think Billy Napier has been doing a really good job in recruiting. He's got a lot of continuity in a world of college football. Look at FSU. One of the reasons I think they struggled on Saturday and why I'm now really pessimistic on what their season is going to look like. They lack continuity. They lack chemistry. And when you start the season against real college football competition and you don't have that, and your comms tech goes out in your helmets, which doesn't help, and your offensive coordinator is suspended, all of these things, all of a sudden, what you've built up in the offseason falls like a house of cards. And I think Florida has more of a foundation than a lot of other teams that I look at in college football that would be in their range. Having Graham Mertz at quarterback, having a returning Montrell Johnson, returning offensive lineman, this is going to be huge as far as the way that they look out of the gate. They get to play Miami at home, at the Swamp, one of the toughest places to play in college football. It's, to me, when I look at that game, it's Miami that should be worried about what's in front of them and not vice versa, because Florida should be able to hit the ground running. But I'm going to piggyback off of that and ask you a question about dollars and cents. Billy Napier is on every hot seat list in America, but it's going to cost the university $25 million to move off of him if they choose to do so, and he loses more games than I'm expecting this year. Even in a world of fiscal irresponsibility, which should be the slogan for college football, the Gators can't actually let this guy go, can they?
Texas A&M paid Jimbo Fisher $75 million. It's not like Jimbo Fisher was terrible at Texas A&M. In fact, Jimbo Fisher's record at Texas A&M a lot better than Billy Napier's record over his first 2 seasons at Florida. And if he's to get fired, it means he would probably have another losing season this year. Would it be fiscally responsible? No. But there's been a lot more fiscal irresponsibility in college football than a $25 million buyout. Personally, I think Billy Napier could have a losing season this year, 5-7, say, and I think he should still keep his job for one of the reasons, the $25 million buyout. As I wrote in the paper the other day, if you're Florida, wouldn't you be a lot better off spending that $25 million on buying better players,
yes.
Than
$20 million was what Ohio State spent on their recruiting class.
Exactly.
So yes.
So yeah, and I don't think Florida can keep switching coaches every 3 or 4 years, buying out the coach. Hell, I think they're still paying Dan Mullen's buyout.
Well,
If I'm not
exactly,
mistaken.
and I would say that the easy rebuttal to what I said about fiscal irresponsibility is Texas A&M.
Right.
They're an example of you'll just spend to get away from it. But Texas A&M was also, they were patient over years with the coaches they had. Kevin Sumlin was there for what felt like a pretty long time, and then to Jimbo Fisher. So they don't look like they're as erratic as Florida is. It's not just the dollars for the Gators. It's they'd be doing this for the fifth time in what, 15 years?
Right. Right.
And I think you would have that used against you more in recruiting than, hey, this coach has just lost a bunch of games. That both are negative. Losing sucks, but I think one is worse than the other.
I don't think anybody uses anything against you in recruiting anymore, except, hey, he's not paying you as much as I am.
Yeah, is that not a thing? Do we have to remove that from our sports take journal?
Yes.
All right, good to know. I'll add that to the list or subtract it. The crossover is over.